discharged. Arocha scientists discover that the globally endangered white-necked monkey lives in the Etua forest in Ghana. Coming up in business, LPG marketers have backed down on their threat to sue government over rollout of the cylinder recirculation model. On the international front, Malawian President Peter Mutharika declares 20 of the country's 28 district disaster areas following an invasion by fall army worms. Well, the details of all this and more coming up. Thanks so much for staying with us. Now to our very first story. 8 of the 22 persons accused of killing Major Max Mahama have been discharged. TV3's court correspondent Salom Amenya is joining me via phone. Good afternoon, Salom, and grateful for your time. Now, first, the reasons why these 8 have been freed.
Well, according to the Attorney General, based on evidence, the summary of evidence gathered, these 8 persons, it points to the fact that they haven't got enough evidence to actually go ahead with the committal process involving these 8 people. So there's a need for them to be discharged so that the rest who they have evidence against could go ahead with the trial.
And so has the date been set for the trial to begin?
Well, we are coming back to court on January 11. That is when we are coming back to court, and it's possible that the committal process will begin. But after proceedings, the lawyer for the accused persons, Bernard Shaw, also served notice that he was actually going to apply for compensation for these 8 persons. According to him, he believes that prosecution did a shoddy job or a shoddy work by failing to actually ensure that these people, the evidence against them before putting them in prison. According to him, he believes that these people have been taken through or have gone through intolerable trauma and anguish, and it has been a long journey for them. And he believes that this will help put some refinery or review, will bring about some change or paradigm shift so far as the criminal justice system is concerned. He feels that prosecution always will have to conduct enough investigations before arresting people, not a practice where they bundle people together and then after some time they discharge something that we don't have evidence against you.
Does it then suggest that these persons discharged are likely to be back in court?
Well, if they are back, they will only come back when there is some evidence against them or when the application for their compensation is being heard.
Grateful for your time with us. Salom Amenya is a man in court following the Major Max Mahama trial. We'll have more of that on 3news.com. In other news this afternoon, a clinical psychologist, Adolf Ewuku Bekwin, says a victim who was ganged raped by some boys in Bantama in Kumasi can be helped to heal through counseling, albeit it will be a difficult process for the young lady. The 3 of the suspects arrested over the incident, according to the police, are junior high school and senior high school students. Mr. Bekwin spoke on News at 10 Monday night.
Very disgusting feeling. And so we need to help her feel safe. First, in her body, am I responsible for what has happened? What did I do wrong? The shame, the video haven't gone viral, the shame, the guilt, all that has to be managed with this young lady.
I see. So for you, she can be healed through this process?
Absolutely, she can be healed. It's not going to be a very easy journey to start to walk, but she can be healed. She can be healed. She can recover from the trauma of sexual assault, from the defilement that it may feel her body dirty, and we need to help her sanitize her first psychologically by what we do body, by helping her go through medical attention, screening, to disabuse her mind of whatever infections that may be possible. We have to clear her of that. Then we can begin the talk therapy with her.
While a member of the Coalition Against Sexual Abuse, Amazing Grace Danso, is attributing the incident to the perception that men can have access to women anytime they want. She wants needed persons sanctioned, or she wants sanctions meted out to the young boys to serve as a deterrent to others.
Underlying factors are quite complex to unpack, but many of us believe that there's this idea supported by the patriarchal society that a man has access to the woman's body, whether she likes it or not, because some way, somehow, she's supposed to be subservient to him. So it's not really surprising that you have young people exhibiting such atrocities or such heinous attitudes, because there's a fundamental belief, or should I say perception, that you can do whatever you want to a woman's body and get away with it. Unfortunately, this was on record, and we do have substantial evidence to go after these perpetrators. So it does make us worried about the numerous cases that are happening all across the country that don't get reported. So making an example of these perpetrators is a very high priority.
We have more on this rape issue. We'll try to reach a legal practitioner, take a look at the likely charges that will be preferred against these young boys. But before that, some other stories. 57 former Liberian refugees have besieged the United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Accra, demanding that they be resettled in first world countries. The angry Liberians, who spent 32 days at the premises of the UNHCR, are demanding that they be sent to Canada, America, or the United Kingdom.
The refugee status of Liberians across the world was revoked on June 30, 2012, after the United Nations declared Liberia relatively peaceful. Two options were available for refugees: to voluntarily return to their native country or remain in the country where they sought refugee status. About 8,000 of the remaining Liberian refugees in Ghana at the time opted to return home and were duly assisted. 3,500 opted to stay in Ghana, whilst the remaining 2,500 declined the two options. About 1,000 of the 2,500 then applied to the Ghana Refugee Board for an extension of their refugee status, but only 250 were granted. An appeal to the Interior Minister, according to the rules, had an additional 100 applications granted. Per the foregoing, the remaining 2,150 Liberians have no status and had up to January 15, 2018 to leave the country or be counted as illegal immigrants. Perhaps desperate to avoid whatever action awaits them as the date draws near, these former Liberian refugees threw themselves on the UNHCR demanding their transfer to a first world country. They claimed the UNHCR had an obligation.
Time for our own durable solution. They don't want to give it to us. That was made for me to move from the place where they finish breaking it down. That was made I can't on the side for UNHCR to give my durable solution.
And we asked them several times, we met them 12 different occasions. And then they told us that go and come. We are tired with it, and now we don't have houses on the camp. And they know very well that Liberian refugees who took exemption that fall on resettlement, which of course my category.
Of course, I know that my status have come to an end, but in another category of my situation, I automatically fall in the area of being resettled because I'm considering myself to be a stateless refugee.
You cannot have me in the country for more than 27 years. Profile me through all the years, and at the end of the day, you tell me I should have no benefit. This is not accepted under international law, but even the United Nations Convention.
But these claims were denied by the UNHCR. Showing documents to support his claims, an Associate Protection Officer, Edmond Quarte, insisted the former refugees do not have any rights.
350 people who maintain their refugee status. Why? Because the government of Ghana has decided that they should keep their refugee status. Now, all the people that were rejected from the day they were given their letter ceased to be refugees. Now, once that decision is made by the government of Ghana, you cease to be a refugee to UNHCR too.
Currently, the 57 former refugees have been taken to the cantonment police station, awaiting to be conveyed back to Budumburam camp, where their permit is due to expire on January 15 next year.
Let's stay on this issue. My guest is the Executive Secretary of the Ghana Refugee Board, Dr. Kofi Annan. Good afternoon, sir. Grateful for your time. So is it that these persons we saw are not refugees?
Yes, it's true.
By technicalities, they are not refugees.
They are no longer refugees. Since June 30th, 2012, a cessation clause was imposed.
They cease to be refugees.
They cease to be refugees. And opportunity was given them to appeal. The appeal was also dismissed because at a point I believe that these people, they are just acting, their claims are false. They are no longer refugees. They are based on intransigence. We've talked to them several times and they are aware of that. But they think that once they come up across like this, the international community or the country or the media will pick up their story. But the story is not. It's not based on facts. It's not based on the truth.
I see. Yeah. Okay, now before we even talk about, let's check about why are they not refugees?
Yes, at a point after they've been refugees since the Liberian crisis.
Right.
And at a point, it was determined that they no longer required international protection. We have this false belief that refugee status doesn't end. It ends. So June 30th, 2012, the cessation clause was invoked, and those who did not qualify or they were not exempted ceased to be refugees. And these are the people who are picketing at the UNHCR office.
Suggested that they can go back to their home countries.
Yes. Provisions were made for them to go back to their home countries. They don't normally just send them empty-handed. A package was given to them. Many of them, I believe, got those packages, but still refused to go back.
Whose job is it to transport them to their home countries?
The UNHCR, NDS, we have made arrangements for that. They've done that several times. And all before that, we liaised with the Liberian embassy to determine whether these are Liberians and also to provide them with travel documents. And this was done for the past 5.5 years.
And yet they
refused to go. And this recent action came up because Bujumbura, where they used to stay, the rightful owners of the land want the land back. And so a portion of the land is being cleared for a development project, a market, etc. So some of these people lost their
landed properties.
Whatever is landed property, where they were staying. But then, based upon several discussions with them, they refused to listen to us to understand that they are no longer persons of concern. During the cessation, 350, as mentioned by the UNHCR colleague, 300 people were exempted for one reason or the other. Those were determined that they could not go back to, so they are still there.
And they are still
protected. They still have their dwellings, and they are still protected.
What do we do with these persons?
The choice is for them to go back voluntarily, because Liberia is peaceful. As you know, Johnson Sirleaf has just completed her two-term years in the office, and presidential elections were held. Runoff Run-up will be on December 26th. Right. They will have a run-off between the vice president and the opposition leader. So everybody knows that Liberia is safe.
So they
can go back, and then definitely there will be opportunity for them to be assisted to go back. They've provided them with that option, and they just refuse to go, and they are insisting that they are entitled to resettlement. Resettlement is only that option is only given to refugees and their family members. And logically, since they are no longer refugees,
these groups don't qualify.
They don't qualify. And it's just a matter of basing their claims on false...
32 of them having picketed at your place. What do we do with them? What can we do with them?
UNHCR actually sent a letter to the Minister of Interior asking for help to help them to remove them over there. So the IGP has been authorized to find ways
forcefully remove them?
Not forcefully, but find a way to do that. Even if it gets to that point, because we have several discussions, several meetings. When I say we, the Ghana Refugee Board, in cooperation with, collaboration with UNHCR, have had several discussions with them. And as I said, these people are no longer persons of concern to us.
So, in effect, these persons we saw can be repatriated to Liberia by the government?
Yes, then the other issue is that Liberia is part of ECOWAS.
Right.
Yes, and some of them are claiming that they are here, even though they are no longer refugees, they are here as ECOWAS citizens.
So they should be allowed to stay.
But then in that case, ECOWAS protocol doesn't allow you to stay indefinitely. You can go back and come back and stay here for the 3 months without a visa. That's what the ECOWAS protocol maintains. But then they are not even prepared to even consider that if they think that Ghana is somewhere, it's a place that they want to stay, then they can go back home voluntarily and come back as ECOWAS citizens.
So the resettlement you're talking about is totally out of place.
Definitely.
The UNHCR cannot do anything at all about it.
Cannot do anything about it. Definitely that is true, because, and even looking at the international context, resettlement is based on the voluntary acceptance of a third country. The third country
will have to agree to
receive them. And it must be based on your status as a refugee.
I see. How many Liberian refugees, that's if you have the figure, do we have currently in Ghana?
As I said, those who were exempted,
right,
about 350.
300 of them.
50.
That's a number, official
number that we have. But many of them, some of them who haven't left, who didn't take advantage of the integration package to return voluntarily, are still there. And they have been living in Bujumbura for all this while.
Finally, they might be watching you. Perhaps this is the opportunity for you to speak to them on what they are demanding. Finally, and we'll wrap up.
Yes, to them, I'm sure they will be watching us, and then they know, some of them know me quite well. And I just want to reiterate the fact that their claims are false, and they are being intransigent. And I'll encourage them to contact their Liberian embassy for their travel documents, and if they require assistance to return voluntarily back to Liberia, we should be able to find a way to get them to Liberia.
I'm grateful. Dr. Kofi Annan is the Executive Secretary of Ghana Refugee Board. Grateful for your time with us.
Thank you very much.
This is Midday Live. In other stories, government is to establish a cashew production farm at Baku, Jogbega, under the One District, One Factory Cash Crop Initiative. District Chief Executive for North Danyi, Edmond Kujo Atta, disclosed this at an inaugural ceremony of the Baku Traditional Council at Baku in the Volta region.
Baku is one of the 9 traditional areas in the North Dai district of the Volta region. The inhabitants are predominantly farmers. However, changes in climate and erratic rainfall continue to affect farming activities, depriving the people of livelihood, leading to increase in poverty and rural-urban drift. Others who have decided to stay back home have resorted to petty trading in order to survive. But these are likely to change if the government's pro-poor initiatives take full effect. For the people of Baku, for instance, a shift towards cash crop cultivation is key.
There is a good news. The government is doing a project that we call One District, One Cash Crop. The government has already identified Baku land for cashew production.
But the district chief executive for North Dai, Edmond Kojoata, is particular about unity of purpose.
To achieve this, however, the issue of unity cannot be underestimated. Government is seeking one thing, unity and freelance. Who is going to give us the land? It is the traditional authorities who are going to give us the land.
The paramount chief, Tobigan Bogbolulu, is optimistic the autonomy from the Akpini Traditional Authority would propel development.
Let us all unite and collectively put our shoulders to the wheels of local development. Let us all partner each other in communal development projects in order to bring out our achievements beyond measures.
The immediate past president of the Veterans Association of Ghana and the chairman of the Association of Retired Naval Officers, Commodore Steve Obimpe, urged the youth to take advantage of recent developments to enhance their lives.
This is Midday Live. My name is Bright Nanamfo. Now, in other stories, the Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amwa, has dared officials of the Tema Oil Refinery to go to court for alleging some of them are stealing from the refinery. Speaking on TV3's Business Focus, he indicated he has evidence to prove his case.
One of those instances happened to have happened 2 weeks ago, where alleged scraps and some equipment have been bundled into a truck, sold off. Proceeds cannot be accounted for. The TOR management, through the Honorable Isaac Osei, I salute him, have instituted a probe. But we believe that there would have to be an external probe. TOR cannot investigate itself.
Absolutely.
We would need the external IOCO, we'd need the BNI, the CID, we would need every other investigative organ of the state to go in there to ascertain the exact magnitude, right, of what has been taken out. It could be 10 million Ghana cedis, it could be $10 million worth of equipment taken out there and sold, and the proceeds pocketed. A committee has been put in place by Toba. We do not subscribe to that notion that TOR should investigate itself. So let Yoko and others go out there and also find out whatever they would find out. If at the end of the day, these actions, as we believe, were embarked upon with some fraud motive, these people should suffer the consequence thereof and should not be allowed to walk freely. Some of them are currently even threatening legal suits. But we dare them to go ahead. We dare them to go ahead because we have the pictures, we have the date, we have the exact times that the so-called scraps were moved or ferried out of the refinery in the night. It tells you that people are really operating in the night. I could show you the pictures. In the night. It tells you that if it is a sale that is something quite usual and ordinary, why would you move those things in the night? What we gather, some tube bundles or air cooler tube bundles, probably valued at around 400,000, which could have gone with the scraps, have been sold.
$400,000
USD. Exactly. And that is just one equipment that we hear per our little nose, diving around, that has also gone out there. That's with
about 1.8 million Ghana cedis.
That is just one. And so we are saying that the figures could even be more. We also have found out that it is not only the scrap that has been sold, but again, some tools that were brought, some plates, right, that were brought for constructing a new tank. Yeah. So the plate tanks, the tank plates, they are still there rusting as of today.
We're staying on this Tamar refinery issue there. The refinery has issued a rejoinder. Let's take a look at what exactly is in there. The rejoinder from the Public Affairs Manager, Dr. Kingsley Enchibu-Esiako, said no such matter of theft has been, or theft of equipment has been alleged or has been alleged by the statement has been established. The Public Affairs Manager, however, added that a committee has been set up to investigate a matter relating to how some scraps were disposed of in the refinery. The Tamar Refinery TOR urged the public to remain calm and have confidence in a committee tasked to come up with their findings on the matter. The oil refinery has assured Ghanaians that management would ensure that the right thing is done at all times and that no acts of corruption would be tolerated at the refinery. We'll try and raise the Public Affairs Manager, Dr. Kingsley Ntwi on the phone line to react to some of the issues apart from the statement that he's issued. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is daring them to go to court if indeed they think that the allegations they're raising against what happened at Toba is not right. When we reach Dr. Kingsley Ntwi, the Public Affairs Manager, we will put out these questions to him. Let me quickly check the phone lines if it's there. Dr. Ntwi, good afternoon. Grateful for your time with us. We'll try and reach him. But the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is daring officials of the Toba oil refinery to go to court if indeed these allegations raised are not the truth. That is the story. We'll take a break, and when we come back, there is more on Midday Live. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're going back to our earlier story on the Toba oil refinery. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers alleging some wrongdoing there. The refinery has issued a statement denying any of such thing. Let's speak to the Public Affairs Manager, Dr. Kingsley Ntwi, who's just joined me on the phone lines. Good afternoon, sir. Grateful for your time with us.
Yeah, hello.
Hello, Dr. Ntwi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Great. Now, first of all, your statement is denying that there's nothing as is being alleged by COPEC. Is that the situation?
Right. My statement is saying that, first of all, it's not been established that there's been any theft. It's not been established that some staff have sold and stolen company equipment and shared the proceeds among themselves as being perpetrated by the statement signed by Mr. Duncan Amwa, which is making rounds on social media and being discussed on other media platforms. Having said that, my statement also mentions that, you know, everybody should remain calm. There is nothing untoward happening at Toba at the moment. In fact, what is happening is that the committee, Honorable Isaac Osei, who happens to be the MD of my oil refinery, has set up a committee to investigate the issue that Mr. Amwa is talking about. And until the committee has come up with its findings, anything that anybody says is going to be prejudicial, if I can put it that way, you know, and that this committee, we have absolute trust and confidence in them. You know, they've been given their terms of reference, and at the end of the day, they are going to come up with their findings and present to management, and then management is going to take decision on that.
I see.
That is, yes.
So it means that the allegations of theft are being investigated.
No, that is not what I said. You see, you cannot even establish if there's been theft or not until the committee is finished with its work.
What is being investigated?
What is being investigated is that he mentioned that somebody, a committee has been put in place because somebody sold scraps, okay? And then the proceeds were shared among themselves. Now, that is an allegation. The fact that somebody in the company sold scraps, that's fine. That's accepted. But the outcome of that, whether as he's claiming people share the proceeds among themselves, whether as he's claiming some vital equipment belonging to the company were included in this sale, is also going to be established by the committee. As I stand here, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. In fact,
Dr. Ntwi, I think you're not answering my question. Is the committee investigating the allegations of theft?
I didn't. You see, Bright, you are rather not getting what I'm saying.
Okay, please explain.
Listen, you seem to be basing your question on what Mr. Amwa has written. I am saying that what is being investigated is that after, as he claims, scraps were sold. Selling scraps doesn't mean that there's theft. Does that mean that there's theft? No. Selling scraps doesn't mean that there's necessarily that's going on. And I'm only saying that.
Hello, Dr. Boy. Yeah, please go ahead.
Determined after the committee has recommendation. That is all that I'm saying. And you see, there are other things that Mr. Amwa was on your network saying, yes, I'm quite different.
Well, we've lost him there. Dr. Kingsley Nchibu is a public affairs manager at the Toba Oil Refinery there. We'll try and raise him back on the phone lines, but in other news this afternoon, Arocha scientists have discovered that the globally endangered white-necked monkey lives in the Toba forest in Ghana. The mangabe, a rare terrestrial monkey, is known from only a handful of sites in Ghana and is considered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature to be globally critically endangered with extinction. The mangabe was discovered during the course of a camera trapping survey of a Toba forest. Arocha scientists were trying to establish the current status of the animals living on the forest floor, which are often vulnerable to hunting and trapping. Let me go to Skype. Dr. Daryl Bosu is a National Programs Officer of Arocha, Ghana. He's just joining us there. Dr. Bosu. White bow tie, the ones that the pastors wear.
Yeah. Hello, let me make a correction. I'm not a doctor yet.
All right, so thanks for the correction. Please go on.
Can you hear me? Yes. The discovery is of the white-necked mangabe. And just like you rightly said, it's a primate species that is globally categorized as critically endangered. And when any species is categorized as critically endangered, it means that this species has the highest risk of getting extinct in the wild. So if we don't put in all the necessary measures to care for it, both itself and also its habitat, we are going to lose it completely from this earth. So it's actually a very big find, and we in Arusha are very excited about it.
Great. They live in the Toba forest. Are they endangered where they live, the environment?
Yes, considering the fact that at Toba forest, as you all know, even before government showed interest to go for the low-grade bauxite that is underneath the forest is open to so much hunting activity, and also recently from the ban on Galamsey, we have seen some of these recalcitrant miners moving into this forest landscape to do some mining. There has been some few apprehensions here and there, but some of these threats are still really real. And right now, with the intention of government to mine bauxite, the low-grade bauxite that's under this forest reserve, we are even afraid of much more losses in terms of the habitat of this particular species.
I see. So how critical is this monkey to the wildlife of Ghana?
Well, as you know, Ghana has lost significantly a lot of our wildlife. We've traded our wildlife resources instead of maybe using them for their what I call the utilitarian values. We are rather actually consuming all of them. And you see that when you move from Accra all the way to Kumasi, when you get to Enyim, you see all the bush bits. So just like all the wildlife resources we have in this country, this particular monkey is also a threat. And like our survey has indicated, this is actually one of the first, possibly one of the first live camera or picture of this particular monkey seen anywhere in Ghana. It is known to occur elsewhere in Cote d'Ivoire and also in Western Ghana, but there has never been a photographic record of this primate anywhere in the world. So this is actually a big find, and the fact that it's also critically endangered all over the world makes it more an issue for us to all be concerned about and to make sure we secure its habitat.
Grateful for your time with us. Daryl Bosu is the National Programs Officer of Arocha, Ghana, there, talking to me on that discovery. The white-naped or necked monkey now lives in the Etiwa forest in Ghana. This is Midday Live. It's time for business.
The business segment is brought to you by
Welcome back. LPG marketers have backed down on their earlier threat to sue government over what they describe as a deliberate attempt to sideline them in the rollout of the cylinder recirculation model. Speaking on TV3's business analysis program, Business Focus, lawyer and public relations officer of the Marketers Association, Bernard Oredu, said the Energy Ministry has written to meet them over their concerns.
LPG marketers have backed down on their earlier threat to sue government over what they describe as a deliberate attempt to sideline them in the rollout of the cylinder recirculation module after what the association describes as a softened stance of government. The LPG marketers have since its inception objected the policy, which is expected to be fully implemented by November 2018, according to a presidential directive. The module involves the filling of LPG cylinders at designated refilling plants before distribution to customers at retail outlets. Speaking on TV3's business analysis program, Business Focus, lawyer and public relations officer of the LPG Marketers Association, Bernard Oredu, said the Energy Ministry has written to meet them over their concerns.
We indicated our intention to come out with a press conference, and we're going to use that press conference to announce our next way forward in terms of our grievances or our concerns with the implementation of the new cylinder recirculation module. We were of the view that there were some issues, there were some challenges that needed to be addressed, and we were seeking audience with the minister to actually seek the best way to resolve these issues. But we were not being heard. So we had come last week to tell the general public that we are going to have a press conference on Tuesday and then announce to the public what we intend to do. But we went into another meeting, like you said. We have received a letter from the ministry, giving us
the Ministry of Energy.
The Ministry of Energy, yes. The letter was sent, I think, on Friday, giving us audience on Wednesday. So we've had that invitation from the ministry that, okay, if we say we have any grievances, we should come back to the table for a discussion. So as we speak tomorrow, the planned press conference won't come on. Our members have resolved that if the minister has decided to give us a listening ear, let's explore that avenue. We won't go ahead with the planned press conference. We would wait first to meet with the minister on Wednesday and see the outcome.
And that's it for business. We're stepping on the break, so when we'll come back, there is pause. Welcome back. Now, it's been 48 hours, over 48 hours since past queens accused the Miss Ghana organization of running a pimp agency. The allegations about the Miss Ghana organization being a pimp, no official statement has come from them. How will this affect the credibility of that organization? My guest is the man in charge of the digital MG, and he talks a lot of entertainment. I'm sure he wakes and sleeps with entertainment. Good afternoon, sir. Grateful for your time. Francis Doku.
Good afternoon.
Let's start from here. This allegation, how damaging is it to the entire project?
I think this is a very serious one. You know that over the last few
Yes, it's been very difficult raising sponsorship for entertainment events, and particularly the Miss Ghana. It's been very difficult. So coming on the heels of that, if we have such news, coming, I think this is damaging enough. It would worry the effort to raise sponsorship for that particular event and also for all entertainment events. It also leaves a bit of doubt in the minds of people who take part in this, pageants and all that. So I think the allegations, we eventually know whether they are true or not. But regardless of that, I think the damage that this has done to the event, it's great.
The no response, would you say, is good PR managing the situation?
I think that the fact that you agree to go on a radio station and television station to talk about the issue, for me, I think they should have waited a bit more before agreeing to comment on it. Taking all the issues that come and then see how you respond appropriately. But so long as you've given your word that you go on a station, I think it is fair that even if you go, you say that you come back. But deciding not to go at all when a lot of announcements have been made, and all that, I think that wasn't very right. Then people will think that you have something to hide. But if you were not going to respond immediately, then you sit down and plan, and then maybe by Friday, by which time you've taken all the feedback, then you respond appropriately. But agreeing to go and not showing up, I think that's not right.
Wherever this process ends, can we have the Miss Ghana we used to know in the past? Can we have it again?
It will be very difficult, as you say. It will be very difficult because
no matter how this ends, assuming even the allegations were not true,
it would take a long time, I think, trying to see how to build the brand again. Because let's face it, Miss Ghana hasn't been what it used to be in the past for some time now. Previously, when they mentioned Miss Ghana, you know that this is a true pageant. But over the years, there's been a lot of these issues that have come up. From when Shirley left off till when Ina picked it, the very beginning up until now. I mean, it's even surprising that they still have an event ongoing because the allegations and counter-allegations have been too many. So I think that it would take a lot of effort, a lot of PR, a lot of brand building. And even if it would attain the status it used to be, I think it would take a very long time. I don't see Miss Ghana being what it was in a very short time.
And so the organizers, what quick recommendations can you give out to them?
I think they need to respond. They need to respond, having taken in all the feedback, maybe before the end of this week. Because if you leave it to linger for too long, also people would have their own interpretation. They need to respond appropriately, put out their own fact, and then let the public judge what it is. But I think that we have a public that when they make a decision, it's difficult to change their mind. It's difficult to sway them from what decisions they made. But you need to put in an effort and see how it comes.
I'm grateful for your time with us. Francis Duku is the man in charge of MG Digital, and he talks a lot about entertainment. There is more of this on 3news.com. You can catch up on that too. Now to some international news. In Malawi, President Peter Mutharika has declared 20 of the country's 28 districts disaster areas following an invasion by fall army worms. The pests have destroyed the crops of nearly 140,000 farming families since the start of November. The fall army worms are believed to have been transported from their usual habitat in the U.S. state of Florida or the Caribbean. A U.S. aid expert said recently that the caterpillars have spread to 21 African countries and threaten the continent's main food staple, maize. The government is seeking international help to contain the outbreak, which President Mutharika says is a major threat to Malawi's food security. The government has procured about 56,000 liters of pesticides, just 1/7 of the amount that is needed. That's how we're wrapping up the show for this afternoon. Thanks so much for your time. There's more news on 3news.com. Stay right here on TV3. The show was put together by Isaac Ameko. My name is Bright Nanamfo. Have a good afternoon and see you.